What up? What up? It's Lolz live Wednesday evening, and we have brought in a very special guest. You know, Brian and I normally like to reserve these airwaves just for us. We like to hog all of the airtime, but occasionally a guest will come along that's so special, so good that we'll break our rules. And of course, we have Chris Spags joining us along with my usual partner in crime, Brian Hooper. How we doing, guys?
I'm excited. I've watched the show many times. I've actually never seen the intro, so I hadn't heard that chiptune beat that opens it up, which I think is just fantastic. I love everything about the show, and I've watched it, but now that the chiptune's in, like, I'm all in on it. I was a big fan of like Anamanaguchi, whatever that one was when I was like 14. I might be going.
Oh, you're going to say onomatopoeia, the literary device, but Anamanaguchi. Okay, yeah.
Anamanaguchi is like a chiptune 8-bit music group that I think, I don't know, they might be Japanese. I feel like that was that was the vibe that I picked up.
It's so convincing as an 8-bit tune that our iTunes tag is video games. It just auto put us in that thing. I was trying to have Brian to see if we could get it removed, but I think we're just a video game show now. Brian is trying to change his Patrick Beverly lineup, so he's a little preoccupied right now.
No, I'm trying to get the prop bets in still.
Okay.
The app just started work. It finally started to work.
Here, let me go over. Brian posted some prop bets. I just fired at let me actually switch my my screen here. We'll get them up on the screen here if you guys want to bet along at home. Spags, do you have any action on these NBA games tonight?
I am only playing, I told these guys before we came on the air, FanDuel, I'm getting to play a little more because I'm not having to host shows with this being my gap week between Osmo and Vegas Insider. And FanDuel is my sweat tonight because I actually have a lineup that can do some damage with Paul George still left. So that's all I have. I can't legally bet in California, so I'm gonna have to like actually to do what I'm supposed to do for Vegas Insider, or I'm gonna have to get in on the Bitcoin betting again, which is such a hassle to deal with. But I feel like that's the best route when you're not in a legal state.
It's true. It's true. I'm in those Bitcoin streets. Brian and I have not been promoting any one specific book. We're holding out for sponsorship money here. Brian, run us through these prop bets here. What are you liking? What are you seeing? What do we need to do?
Did you say you bet Doncic?
I did. I bet the under.
That's a negative bet. You're not supposed to bet that.
What? So why are you putting it on the screen?
Just to show it's a bad bet.
What? You're putting up bets we're not supposed to bet? I don't know if you know how this Twitter tout works. This is why Cash Out King is my Twitter tout, because Brian is putting up bets I'm not supposed to make.
Yeah, that was the worst side of it too. Good job.
Yeah, isn't it obvious the green ones? That's spreadsheet life.
Yeah,
man.
How is that not obvious?
What are you trying to do?
You need to make yourself the VLOOKUP king instead of the deposit king.
Oh my god! I just learned how to do VLOOKUP like 4 months ago.
I am not taking any blame for you betting Doncic there. I did bet Leonard and Hardaway, and the line did move too. So
This is disgusting. The one time I finally tail your bets, and I don't even know how to read your stupid spreadsheet.
Now here's what you do: you hammer the other side for 3x, and you can't lose.
Spags, have you been following the Cash Out King saga?
No, I have not. I've been sort of just getting through my own emotions from leaving Osmo, and then trying to, the last couple days I feel like mostly been in a haze of substances to try and get through the time off. But I would love for you to catch me and all the viewers up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about your kind of roller coaster of emotions, I can't even imagine what you'd feel a day following the Cash Out King. I mean, Brian, I would say it has everything you would want. If you were to drop a script of, the highs, the lows, tears, laughter, calls for feds, murder accusations, it basically has it all.
The Good Will Hunting script, I guess like the original one, had like this FBI piece to it where like they were after Matt Damon's character. Like that's kind of in line with the Cash Out King. The FBI's involved. He's already banned from the only legal Illinois sportsbook that accepts online wagering, and it just opened up like a month ago, not even.
The other thing about Cash Out King that's so funny is he's calling himself a Twitter personality, and he's gained like 8,000 Twitter followers just by hosting these contests where if you retweet and follow, he will, supposedly send you money. So I just have to put a little asterisk next to the Twitter personality there. I mean, Spags, you're well versed in the social media sphere. Is that allowed to grow your following strictly via money, cash giveaways?
I mean, that's what people are doing. Like, there have been people who I've seen recently who, no disrespect to anybody who's done this, but given like, premium memberships away to, not to OnlyFans, which that I would get if you're giving those away for free, but given like to, data sites or whatever. And they're just like average guys who are just buying a membership for people. And I think that's the move to try to promote yourself, I guess, for people who don't have, who aren't going to be doing Periscope streams every day like Pete, where that's your promotion mechanism is just that top of Twitter at any given moment you have a show. So people need to do shortcuts to get there, I guess, and that's the giveaway game.
One of these days, I'm going to start charging people. One of these days. Until then, just enjoy the free content. Brian wants us to go to a premium model. He said we got to put it behind the paywall. It's too good.
That's how it is. Yeah, you got to get them hooked first. Give them, the thing that you always got to do is give your picks up top, give your best picks, and then tell them everybody else like, oh, well, those were the free ones. The paid ones are, behind the paywall. Those are the really good ones. So
even better, Spags, you give the picks that your loyal fans think they're supposed to bet, and it's actually the ones you're not supposed to bet. That's how you really transition to a pay model.
And you hope that the people looking at your Excel spreadsheets don't get conditional formatting. That's a big part of it too.
Oh man, we got a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn about Excel. Brian has a lot to learn about how to tease which prop bets he wants people to tail. I think you guys got to meet me in between here.
I take no blame.
Ricky Beer says if we give him the first 30 days for $3, he would subscribe, which there's no conditions on how much we could charge after that, which is nice for us.
Automatic renewal. That's the lifeblood of the industry.
So Spags, before we get too deep down the rabbit hole, you left Osimo. You're starting a new gig up in the gambling space, no less. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing a Vegas Insider, who's owned by Better Collective. They own that site. Vegas Insider has been around since 1997, but I think got acquired a year ago, 2 years ago for a good amount of cash. So it's exciting to come onto a site that's had that following where I know, like, I looked at the followers on their Twitter handle and, guys like Warren Sharp are following it and like really, entrenched people who've known Vegas stuff for a while. But, my job coming in is going to be to head up the podcast and video and try to get, this kind of quality content that you guys have into the ecosystem there, because that's what everybody wants to do, is to have, their personalities and have that be an important part. And I think for them, because they're a site that's, been around for so long, you kind of, I think, have to learn some stuff that's of the modern times and of, the YouTube ecosystem and the Periscopes and the podcasts and all that. And it'll be fun. I think there's some projects coming up, like one with a Hall of Fame kicker is going to be, I think, the first podcast project. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a Hall of Fame kicker who's not Pat McAfee be doing a podcast with. So
Jason Elam?
I can't say, but let's just say he's got a bit of a European flavor.
Oh. Brian, I don't know if you're looking under who follows this account, Spags. I'll do it on stream. I'll hit the follow button to support you there.
Oh, that's
my number one here. Who follows it? My mutual, Cash Out King. Cash Out Vegas Insider.
So he is legit. That proves it right there.
Spags just said that all the legit sports bettors follow Cash Out King numero uno.
He's the CEO of Sweat Nation. It's nice to see him rising up to professional ranks like that.
We laugh because Spags is like trying to play it dumb that he doesn't know Cash Out King. He's currently in the pipeline to get hired by Vegas Insider. That's going to be your first big hire, Spags.
Yeah, I'm wasting all the salary cap on that one. When you get the Cash Out King, you got to bring big money because you're not only paying for him, you're paying for all the followers that he has to also get. So
Oh, Ricky Beer said his joke was a reference to OnlyFans. My wife will be very happy that I didn't get that reference there with the pay model on OnlyFans. Spags, this is a safe place. Do you subscribe to any OnlyFans?
No, I do not. Though there is a girl who I once was friendly with who does have an OnlyFans page, and she just upgraded to like a house in the Hollywood Hills. And she's doing well for herself. And I don't think she even posts, she doesn't go the full Monty on there either. So that's a lucrative space if you are a blonde person who is good at Instagram.
There you go.
Pete, which is you. I don't know.
Well, I probably have a better future on OnlyFans than I do in sports betting based on my bet that Brian posted there. But hey, guys, when Luka Doncic scores less than 31 points tonight, the joke's on all of you.
Good luck.
No, Jake, I know what OnlyFans is. I didn't get the reference to this specific payment model joke, which is clearly something where it's, pay up front a little bit, you get a lot. I don't know.
I love Jake saying in this economy too. Like now more than ever, how could you not know? It's a viable revenue source. Honestly, California might ban Uber and all that, so OnlyFans might be more important to the gig economy than actually driving a car.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, COVID stock, Uber goes down, OnlyFans goes up. It just, it's how it works.
If you're not going out, you got to do something. And that means perusing the pages of OnlyFans.
Jason in the YouTube chat wants to keep guessing at the Hall of Fame kickers. He wants to know, is it Sebastian Janikowski?
It is not, but you're getting closer, getting warmer, or as we say in Europe, getting warmer.
Okay. All right.
Working on a European accent, really coming along well.
Jay Feely, I don't believe, is a Hall of Famer, but he did play golf with our big boy president. Is it Jay Feely?
It is not Jay Feely.
European.
It definitely has the vibe I think could work for content, though. He would be a good, like, Aubrey Huff type, I feel like.
Wow, this whole show is going to be everyone just guessing the kickers that they know. Morton Anderson.
A legend. He can barely speak English, can he? Even though he played in the league for 47 years.
There you go. All right. DFS. You guys are playing NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. I can't even do a single prop bet correctly. How am I supposed to adjust my exposures based on breaking news?
You shouldn't do it, honestly.
I mean, I love it. Playoffs is the best for DFS. I mean, as long as there's still a big slate, showdown gets a little bit weaker, but the minutes are a little more projectable. You know, the guys are playing high 30s to 40 minutes, so you can load up on the stars. And if you get guys like Royce O'Neal to go off at 10% on FanDuel, you're feeling pretty good. So that's all praises to my man Royce O'Neal.
But you know the game better than Peter here. No offense to Peter. So like
a lot taken.
So like he can it like I said last show or whatever 2 shows ago, NBA is the most like art than science of DFS in my opinion. It's still mostly science, but like if you can't make quick adjustments and stuff like that, you don't know all the players, it's pretty tough. And you got to pay attention all night, especially with late swap on both sites. You're just dead if you don't adjust for this news. Like obviously with Beverly out now.
It's definitely like a full-time job now with the bubble schedule and all that, where for me, like my last couple of weeks were right up aligned with the bubble and getting content out. I'd have to wake up on the West Coast, 7 a.m. to start writing a column. Then I would do a column. Then I'd have to do a stream like an hour later. So that hour between is when I get my lineups in and get a feel for how people would be building, if they're hand building or doing crunches or whatever. So it's definitely been fun. Like I enjoy it a lot, but I think, that could be off-putting for somebody like Peter, who's got so many streams to do and so many shorts to wear without zippers on it. I think that's occupies a lot of time.
So many negative EV prop bets to make. We're just going to continue to dunk on myself. So I bet the total points line for Luka, the one you posted is that fantasy points, Brian? The X points?
No, just points.
Okay. Whew, I was worried that this was some fantasy points Bet Rivers thing that I had messed up too. What does the X stand for, Brian?
Expected.
Okay.
Extreme.
I can't read your spreadsheet. I mean, Brian, you beta tested your spreadsheet with me, and I think we need to go in the lab. And I'm thinking some like bright yellow arrows. Bet this one I think would help us all out.
I guess. I don't know. I think it's pretty idiot proof, but maybe not.
I think I proved it, is it? So Spags, what are you doing with all your you have a little break here in between gigs?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out mostly. The girlfriend's off tomorrow and Friday, so I think we're going to go to the beach one day and I'll burn really terribly. I actually went to a bar for the first time with a couple friends who I trust in terms of their distancing and not being too gross. And it was weird because it ended up being a day yesterday where it was a bar that had the Celtic game on, and it was just chock full of like elderly Irish people, which I feel like kind of made me feel better because if anybody's going to get it and have a worse time with it, it's them. So I felt like I was drinking, being elderly, all those things. But it was nice getting back out there and like hanging out with people, even though you kind of feel like I don't know how you guys feel about things, but I feel like I'm cheating the process if I did that too much.
Yeah, I did. My wife and I, went out, like our street that we're on has a bunch of restaurants and they closed down the whole street so that they could have outdoor seating in between. And I hadn't gone for a while. We went a week or so ago and it was nice, but like I still just didn't feel like I could fully enjoy myself. I just didn't have that because we've been doing takeout and stuff. And I'm like, I just enjoy myself so much more just sitting at the porch at home. But it's nice to feel normal, but it's still not quite the same for me.
Yeah, if I were single, I'd be like gnawing at my hands. Like, I don't know. I have friends who've like found girlfriends during quarantine, either through an app or through whatever, other means that go on the black market, I guess would be the other way that would go down. And it's one of those things where it's like, I would really not be able to handle that situation of having to FaceTime date and like do that. And you put on your cute J. Crew shirt to like do a FaceTime. Like, I think I'd rather just be in a J.O. cave forever.
Are you saying your friends bought people on the black market?
No, they found love the traditional way, or maybe bought people. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Legal black market. I don't know.
So Spags' career at Vegas Insider was cut short by human trafficking.
Cracked by Detective Tommy G.
Yeah. Well, you had a great run there, Spags. Where are you? Are you right in LA? I mean, you don't have to give me your geocache location. I'm just curious.
I'll hit you with the coordinates now over text, because Pete and I are text buddies. We are at that level of our friendship. But no, I live by downtown LA by Staples Center, so not too far from there. And the LA Live, it's like normally a cool area, and it's actually still might be a little better now because there's less people going to work there every day. As filling up the traffic and filling up the streets. But it's a cool area. Like LA is very much kind of a flat area because there's so many people who live here now. And, there really wasn't enough houses on the west side, and downtown has been the beneficiary, though. Probably less people renting here because we have gigantic buildings that have gone up within the last 4 or 5 years and didn't fill. And now with coronavirus, like nobody's moving anywhere. Like we moved to a 2-bedroom within the building because it was just like a really good deal relative to what it was. So I know you guys want to know real estate speculating in downtown LA as part of the show.
Hey,
have you considered moving out of the city, as a lot of people in these big cities are moving out?
I don't view that as something I want to do right now. I mean, people we know live in the valley out here, which is fun. And there was an opportunity. I mean, maybe in the future they've talked, Vegas Insiders talked about moving to Vegas and setting up a studio there. And there was another company I talked to who's got a big studio in Vegas too. And I was like, it would be kind of cool to live there because houses are pretty cheap and you get a pool and like a putting green and stuff for like $250,000, $300,000, somewhere in that range. But I don't know. I like the city. Like I grew up in New York City, so I don't really have any frame of reference for living like a quiet suburban life.
Yeah, I was just watching Hard Knocks, the most recent episode, and saw Jared Goff. He was debating what to do with some of his space down there, and he said he wanted to put in the basketball court, and then he's like, no, I'll blow out my knee doing that. So then he just put in like a chipping green, but it's from like an elevated location. So he just gets to practice 30-foot chips all day. It looked lovely.
He was so confident he was going to get a hole-in-one on camera, and I was like, boy, you must have jinxed that real bad. And they probably shot him for a good hour, and he just could not get one in.
Brian, have you watched any of the new Hard Knocks this year?
Nope.
Yeah, it's weird because they don't have, normally they rely on kind of the narrative arcs, right, of like following people and what's going on, but they just don't have that capability. So it's just they have access, but they're struggling to find storylines. But I'm still appreciating just kind of the sound bites.
I think it's just reassuring. Like I think them, MLB too, the fact that they've been able to get things going with much less planning than it seems like the NFL has. Like I think this has mostly given me faith because like psychologically, I feel like I haven't been mentally there for football season because I've always had in the back of my mind, like, what if it doesn't happen? What if they just push it back? Like I didn't even email my friends in my high school season-long league that we've been doing forever until this week because I was just like, I want to make sure there's actually going to be games going on before I bother people with families and stuff to do a draft, a salary cap draft, I think is what they're calling it now. It's weird. I'm encouraged by it, but nobody's watching Hard Knocks this year, which I think is kind of odd because I'd be very curious, and I was very curious.
I wonder if the NBA playoffs are just kind of overshadowing it. I haven't got to watch a lot, but from what I'm hearing is people are saying the product is great. Brian, do you find the level of play and the entertainment value to be higher than normal? Because they're not traveling as much and rest isn't as big of an issue?
Like the actual games?
Yeah.
I don't watch them.
I should have known that. I knew that. But I tried. Spags, have you been watching NBA at all?
I've had NBA on currently right now. I'm actually looking through my ring light to the TV to see Shake Milton pass the Joel Embiid, breaking an assist opportunity there. So that's not my favorite, but I love it. It's been a great product. I think these guys too, like there have been reports that like Bill Simmons is on his podcast had somebody saying like, oh, these guys are getting sick of it. So they're going to like bump up the schedule and make it even tighter so these guys can get out faster. But I feel like this would be the time of your life if you're, other than, the no girls part, like I'm sure that's not the best when you're 23 and you're used to kind of that sort of road times. But like, I feel like besides that, your camaraderie wise and like just when Dame Lillard puts up 50 or 60 points, everybody talks about it. Like that's got to be fun and kind of feel like a college or high school environment, I would think.
Brian, you're not watching sports. Are you watching? You're not watching Hard Knocks.
No.
What are you watching anything? Are we binging anything on Netflix?
No.
PBS.
Nope.
Lolz archives on YouTube.
That's all I listen to on repeat over and over again. I watch just like YouTube.
Yeah.
Just YouTube shows and stuff. That's
What's good on there these days?
Not much. Like I watch what do I watch on there?
Ricky Beers wants to know what the fuck is this dude doing with his time?
Making great spreadsheets.
I try to golf during the day.
Yeah.
Like today. Which takes a while.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of shows like Part of the Problem by Dave Smith, Michael Malice's 2 shows, Tom Woods' show, a whole bunch of guys no one listening to this would care about.
Are these all ASMR shows?
I don't even know what ASMR is. What is it? Do I have to Google it or you can tell me?
You don't know what ASMR is, Brian. I think you'd really like it.
Put that straw in your mouth, Brian. Swirl it out a little bit for us. Just swirl it.
I should know, like, turn on the listener or
it's like a fetish thing that involves like whispers and noises and textures. Yeah.
And I think it could be some direction too. I think there may be a crossover with the JOI videos. Like when I don't, to be clear, this is not one of my things. I just like to know a little bit about everything. So I think
OnlyFans. What else do we got here? Black market purchases.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you set me loose after 8 p.m. East Coast time. It just all goes to crap.
You don't have a corporation behind you, so all bets are off.
Okay, Jake Hari, not all of us are just like 24-year-old perverts like you, all right? Just playing fantasy hockey on OnlyFans and chatting, with your ASMR groups. Okay, Jake? Brian, how's the golf game these days? I've been now kind of on more of a routine playing, at least getting around in a week. I got the bug.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm playing the best I've ever played. That's not saying much though, unfortunately. I wish I was better, but it's so fucking hard. I don't get why that game is so hard, right? Like you could go shoot hoops, and I haven't played basketball in years, but I guarantee I can make some hoops. You know what I mean? Like a few of them would go in, even though I'd run out of steam really quickly. But like someone starting golf, they might not even be able to hit it. Like legitimately, they might not even be able to hit it. And even if they do, like they have no idea where it's going and it won't go far. And it's so strange. It's just a little ball sitting right there.
Spags.
I don't play much golf. I have, historically played a little more, but I don't have clubs out here. And now you can't rent clubs. So I feel like that's been the thing limiting me because I have a buddy who has been trying to get me to go out. And I'm like, I don't even know how to begin to do this right now. And I don't care enough to try, but I enjoy golf, like bachelor party golf to me, where you're doing a best ball type of thing. I feel like that's the one where you want to be, where you're all hanging out. You don't have the pressure. If you have bad shots, you have one guy in your group who hits it. And then occasionally if you have one good shot and help everybody out, it's like you're Rudy for that moment in time. So that's when I like golf the best.
You can always make a putt in those best balls.
I think the thing that's so, to your point, Brian, of like, I will lock in on something. Like I'll fix, my grip and my swing will be great. And then I'll bend my knees like literally a centimeter more than I was before. And then I'm just like hitting it so fat and a huge divot. And I'm like, that just those millimeter adjustments can just completely throw off and undo all of the other stuff. I think that's why it's just so massively frustrating.
Yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. Because I'm at the place now where if I make like a small change, you could have a big difference on the ball. So where before I was so bad, I was just trying to get it down there, down in the direction I'm trying to go, generally speaking. But now, I'll if I do make a change, even if it's small, it could hurt me. It won't be even worth it.
I've been watching more PGA during the quarantine just because of betting more on it and playing more DFS in particular. And like, I watch the guys now and I see their form and I continue to think, and I like the straight arm in particular. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I've been doing wrong all this time. I think that's what really is going to screw me up. I'm going to throw out my elbow trying to have a straight arm on shots if I ever get back out there.
There is a DFS element too of like going out and playing in heavy wind, and you could see like if you play in heavy wind, you're like, it's not even fun to play. Like your ball will be 40, 80 yards shorter than you're used to playing. And if it like goes where you're trying to hit it, and you could tell like, okay, there's wind tomorrow, which by the way, we'll have to check if we make a lineup today. And it matters. It matters in DFS too. These guys are amazing, obviously, but still, it still matters.
That's my problem too. When I watch these guys play on the PGA Tour, and I'm like, I'm probably as strong as these guys, if not stronger or whatever. And then I realize where they're deriving all their power just from like the subtle hip movement, just all through there. And then I'm coming down, just like chopping away at a ball. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's not where you derive your power. So that's what's frustrating to me, because even when I have my best balls, I'm not getting the hip rotation to actually carry it far. So like even my smooth swings, I'm just hitting everything like 150, like with no variation, because I don't trust myself to like whip my hips around. This show is, I don't know why.
You sound like you have a lot of swing thoughts in there, buddy. I would love to play with you, like just to see like those swing thoughts going through. You could see his mind moving before the shot.
The Galifianakis gift of calculating.
6 inches before the ball. He just hit 6 inches before the ball. And
we, Ricky Beers, we don't really know what this show is. It started out as the League of Legends DFS show, and
no, it started out as just the anything DFS show, and then a pandemic happened. Then we went to a League of Legends.
Yeah, Spags, are you aware of the mythical origin stories of this show?
No, I feel like I was watching like not quite as frequently. I just didn't see it quite pop up as much during the early days of the show. And I know, Pete, you had your various esports thought leading and all that, and I feel like that's what I know of it. But it's hard to know the full mythology of the universe without keeping up with each episode. So please feel free to.
No, well, the thought leader stuff was all after that. Our very first Lolz show was the Rudy Gobert night. Our first ever live. I was like, I'm getting into NBA DFS. We didn't even make it, an hour and a half into the games getting canceled. So we were on air, watching basically sports as we know it in America come to a screeching halt.
That's tough. That's like you get instant reactions though that maybe pump the views up a little more if that were to happen with the audience you've built in this time. But I feel like you guys do it every week, and that's really the hard part of a new show, is just especially during quarantine, like just actually committing to doing a show every week.
Yeah, that made it easier, I think.
Brian and I have made a pact that we are going to climb to the top of the video game charts on iTunes via a very, niche DFS show. And if we can accomplish that.
I can't remember my iTunes password.
Yeah, that might be an issue. So maybe someday you're going to pivot this podcast into a golf swing podcast and just keep pushing the exact same feed as your interests change. I feel like I went through that when I had all these phases as a kid where I was just into one very specific thing. Like I had my And One mixtape phase. Like I went on a trip with my parents to DC in like 7th grade, and I brought my basketball with me, and I'm like putting it in my shirt and doing like trick dribbles in the airport. And then I had my poker phase, and I had all these. Spags, you seem like someone that would have phases.
I've had phases during quarantine. Like I was playing League of Legends DFS and then actually playing League of Legends until bleary-eyed at 3 a.m. while watching it on TV. For like a good month there. And then I was just like, I don't know. I just got sick of it very quickly. I think that the LCS took time off, and then like whatever the Chinese and the Korean leagues took off. And I was like, all right, it's my time with League of Legends can now pass, as there are other things to do. I can play NASCAR, I can do MMA, but I definitely, I've had phases like over my life too, but I feel like it's As you get older, it's weird because you feel like I think you're a little more aware of it than you are as like a teenager or as a child or even as a younger adult, where like I actually did MMA, like did training stuff for a while and like just kept getting hurt over and over again over the course of like 9 months. Cause that's what happens obviously. And like I would just move on from it. And but for a while there, it's like you throw yourself all in. And as an adult, I just feel like you usually have that self-awareness to be like, oh yeah, I'm just dabbling a little in League of Legends. This isn't who I am.
Yeah, that's for a while this show. I mean, we were preaching the 4-3 stacking. I mean, back in the Wild West days, I know it's become such a trope cliche thing to be like, oh, it's still March or time is all distorted, but that truly does feel like an eternity ago waking up to watch League of Legends matches.
Yeah. I want to know how the guys are doing. Like, how's what's his name, Jackie Love? I want to know how Jackie Love's doing. I hope he's thriving. He's a great figure. Some of the LCS guys I got really attached to because I was watching those during Sunday afternoons, and but after watching the Chinese and Korean leagues, especially Chinese, like I couldn't go back to LCS because it was just like, oh my god, we are collectively as a nation so much worse at this game than the Chinese kids are.
Peter's favorite player is Stixay.
Oh yeah. Stixay was a game changer when he came in.
Well, he was a game changer when he replied to my tweet when I asked him if he was playing.
And then Stixay's mom liked the tweet.
Yeah, and then I got to say Stixay's mom has got it going on. It was a great time.
You could have been the Justin fan of League of Legends news.
I was aiming. I love Justin. I'm friends with Justin, but I was aiming for the Adam Schefter of League of Legends. So aiming a little higher than Justin there. No offense. The Kenzie, yeah. I mean, God, I'm looking at my tweet deck right now and remembering when I had a column for esports. And man, the esports grinders too, that was such a funny time where all the originals, they were frothing at the mouth. They're like, oh, look at all this, the fish money coming in. And then within like a week, they're like, they ruined it with the optimizers.
Like our boy Jake Hari, who was in the chat before, I know was very into it, and he's so sharp with like stacking in hockey and stacking in baseball that he immediately went over League of Legends and was getting it right away and having good showings. And I feel like that's tough if that's been like your bread and butter for years, and it's like, oh, this guy who comes in with a different approach that it just makes sense with DFS, and then they're basically barnstorming you. Like that's gotta be kicking the nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it killed it for them in like multiple ways too, because they probably didn't have a dupe issue. Like I'm sure there was dupes, but it was probably, I don't know, like NASCAR-ish, maybe a little, not even that bad. And so and then all of a sudden they're like, when they win, they still lose because they dupe with 280 other lineups, and it doesn't even pay for their buy-in. So like they must have sucked for them. I'm sure some of them won, but.
To me, like I missed the draft street and all those days because I was late to DFS because I was just like, I don't know, like it seems a little bit flimsy, and then I just didn't get in, and I missed all those gigantic paydays. But I kind of assumed that's what it was, that first like 3-week window of League of Legends. I know, Pete, you've talked about this before, but like you're doing well, and it's like, wow, like nobody knows what they're doing. This is fantastic. XFL was the same way. Like I just wish I had that same entrepreneurial kind of a Wild West spirit, really, where you're going out and blazing that trail and trying to pan for gold.
Yeah, that is the hard thing too about, if you want to devote the time to being a true thought leader in the space, and you always have that moment where you're like, all right, there's no going back from this. If I'm going to be the guy that's grinding all of this news in all the discords, doing all of this, and time after time, I haven't found myself making those sacrifices.
It's time in like putting in the time to just do the DFS part too. Like you have to be there for when the lineups go in. So like League of Legends, you have to wake up or set your alarm and wake up depending on which slate and who's playing. And like, remember NASCAR was another example of this, that was a big edge there for like a month, but you had to be there for that last 12 minutes and figure out how to switch things really quickly. But like, yeah, the edges are there. I think, I bet tennis is probably pretty big edge right now. I haven't played in a while, but I played last year. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed that there wasn't preseason NFL for that DFS action. I know there's some guys that absolutely love that because it's a news grinder's paradise for who can sift through and get a read. Because at that point, it's all just about playing time. You just want whoever is going to play the most. And so if you're grinding every one of those beat reports, you'll have an advantage.
There was one point where we were doing preseason NFL content for Osmo, and Tom, the CEO, who's like so great or whatever, but and in a lot of different ways had asked me like, hey, do you want to do this coverage? And I was just like, no, like I have no interest at all. I have no idea what's going on. I'll be ready week 1 to do that stuff. But like preseason just seems so hard to do while like you're trying to do another job. Like for me, it's covering during the summer has been covering baseball. And I feel like preseason is one of those where if you're not paying the full most attention, even if you are, you're going to miss out on that one guy, like that one wide receiver who was a target monster and then gets cut from the team the next day. And I feel like I don't miss that. I'm ready for just to go right to week 1. Let's not waste our time.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you ever do projections for preseason NFL DFS?
No. Yeah. Fuck no. That's way too much. Way too much work. Like, I'd rather spend time working on my model and my process and stuff like that, which I need to start doing a little more here for NFL. We're creeping up on it.
Yeah. I mean, what is it 2 or 3 weeks from tomorrow?
3 weeks?
It's 3, I think.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's the 10th, right?
Yeah, I think it's 3 from tomorrow. Yeah. It's going like that's one of the reasons I'm enjoying watching Hard Knocks is because I'm getting like that tingly football feeling where every year, come August, you're doing home league drafts with friends and stuff. Like there's always just this feeling in the air. And this year it hasn't really been there. And watching Hard Knocks is one of those triggers that I'm like, okay, football is almost here. And I was watching it and I was fantasizing about that Thursday night kickoff. I'm like, that is going to feel so good to have that back.
I wonder if any season-long sites are losing subs because people are like, let's just not do our league this year. If we can't do it together, we'll wait till next year. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. Like I'm in a couple of my longtime, hometown leagues and stuff. And in the pessimism kind of varied. There's some people that are just like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. The league's going to shut down after week 5. Like, why are we even bothering? Some people are like, who cares? Let's just let it fire. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty confident. I still think it's going to be a bit of a shit show, but I think football is just going to forge through anything at this point.
I think it's going to be MLB. I think I said that earlier, but like I think that's sort of where I've landed where, and NFL has put in more planning, not quite to the NBA levels, I think, who's been hard to argue they've been the best in terms of handling it and actually putting in the work. And if you put out a 100-page document of preparation that has consultations with scientists and all that, like clearly you've done the legwork. I don't think the NFL's gone quite that far, but even again, watching Hard Knocks, you see them putting the face masks on and they're like, hey, do you want to wear the face mask? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like these guys are actually thinking about virus spread and all that. I bet you're going to get to a spot though, where you have, 1 or 2 games fall off and, especially in the beginning, kind of like the Marlins, the Reds, like those ones we had in baseball. But I think the hope is you still get like, if you get 12 games a week, like it's going to suck if you built your team around, that and season long. But I think if we're still getting 12 to 14 games a week for the most part, like you're probably pretty happy with that.
You make it to the finals in the best ball millie maker, and your main guy goes down with COVID. The NBA is a little different though. People give them a lot of credit and stuff. Yeah. Okay, fine. They've done a good job, but like it's a lot easier when you have like it's not that long. In these past couple of weeks, the players know like the playoffs are coming up, boys. Like let's take this seriously. They all know it's only the playoff teams. Half the league's not even there.
Yeah.
And they're just sticking around for the playoffs. So like it's and they did the bubble thing because it's so short. So like if you do this whole full football season, baseball is only 60 games. You do a full football season. I'm a little more optimistic than everyone else too. But I'm just saying like comparing it to the NBA, I think it's giving the NBA a little too much credit when everyone says they're like this great, beacon of science or whatever.
Well, and yeah, I mean, the NFL, it's just orders of magnitude harder from a scheduling and personnel standpoint to pull off what some of these other leagues. I saw the Mad Lab, the MMA tout. He had a tweet where he's like, I bet every sports league wishes they had a Dana White leading them right now. I'm like, I bet every sports league wishes their matches were 2 guys in a ring. That would make things a lot easier than having, 150 person enterprises to make these games happen for one organization. So I just, it's not even comparable to me.
Well, answer his question though. Who would you rather have running the NFL?
Oh, don't do this. Your point is
truthfully. Answer truthfully.
Your point is taken, but I think Roger Goodell could he would have pulled off what Dana did with UFC. Whereas I think I do agree with your premise, though, that Dana would do better with the NFL. He just seems like someone that wouldn't be as much of a puppet. Honestly, it's kind of fascinating because those are two different roles. Like Roger Goodell is a puppet for the owners, and Dana White is just like, whatever I want to get done, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah, Dana White's more of a traditional CEO or even kind of a dictator, depending upon the time of week or the fight card and who he's dealing with. And yeah, I agree. Like, Goodell is just very much the toe in the line. I feel like even though, to his credit, I think with some of the stuff this year, which, we don't need to get too much into, but I feel like he has, I think maybe taken a little more leadership there of trying to at least placate some of the athletes' concerns and, like being there to listen to guys like Mahomes, who he really has to listen to for the social awareness stuff. And I'm optimistic, but I probably shouldn't be because it's Goodell, and we know at this point what we're getting there, and it's the dude is happy to get that $35 million paycheck a year, and I don't blame him.
I believe the term dictator actually is from CEO of company. That's it. I'm not kidding. I could check that, but that's where the term comes from. Like dictator was like originally the CEO of a company.
There you go. Guys, I think it's time for the hit segment where we build a lineup that doesn't even sniff the cash line. So Spags, every week we build a lineup, we go around the horn, and it just bombs miserably. In the process, we tank our own lineups by putting in guys we have heavy exposure on in this lineup. I'm actually starting to come around to Brian's reverse jinx approach to this because my approach is not working.
Against my will. I'll check the weather. Why don't you guys start it off?
I've got a golf data sheet, so I'm ready for this because I built one because I felt like I was flying blind here, and I enjoy the projections at Osmo. Like that's what I've been using for the most part to build on Cruncher. But I built like my strokes gain analysis. I built all that stuff. I'm ready for this. I'm shockingly more ready for this than I should be. I should be this ready for all things I do for work. That's where I am right now for this golf.
There you go. I normally I'll get things started by saying in my my crunch, my top lineup exposure, is Justin Rose. I have him coming in at 38%. Justin Rose. How does that make you feel, Spags?
I was getting him a lot when I ran the optimizer, and I don't very much like it now that I'm looking at the numbers. He's not gaining a lot on the striking. His ball striking has been kind of weak, just gaining 0.265 strokes gain per round. So that's not the best. Probably due for some positive regression, though. He hasn't had the biggest sample size, only played 34 rounds. So look, I'm playing him too. I just think that I might, this is one of those dudes who jumps out to me as like, oh, I'm probably going to regret this with how much I'm getting him on Cruncher right now.
See, now I'm at peace. If you guys don't want to play Justin Rose, good. That means he'll go off. He'll go off in my lineups, in 38% of my lineups. Brian, does anyone have any course notes here? I don't even know what this is. This tournament is called the Beantown Battle. That's not the name of the PGA contest, is it?
It's the Northern Trust.
The Northern Trust Beantown Battle really rolls off the tongue. So Spags, one of my conflicting things is I don't ever want to use up one of my online, banking a big tournament on a $500,000 tournament. Like, I just feel like I don't want people to refer to me as a $500,000 heir, that I'd rather not win than have to deal with that.
No, that would be great shame to your entire family. I'm sure your wife would not want to look at you after you brought home a paltry $500,000 instead of that million.
My wife, it was 2 Saturdays ago, she knew I was up late watching MMA, and I came down the stairs, and I swear to God, the literal first thing out of her mouth was, "Did you win money in MMA last night?" Let me guess, no. Good morning. Nice to see you as well. And also, you're correct. Yeah. So anyways, Spags, do you have a guy? You have the sheet. We will give you the honors of putting your first player in here.
So, you know what? If I were going to approach this in an intelligent way, like one should professionally, I would say it's probably Justin Thomas or Morikawa, two guys who are great at ball striking. Also pretty good on the approach, 1.1 strokes gain per round on the approach for Thomas, 1 for Morikawa. The approach, from what I could tell from the history at the Northern Trust, is where a lot of these guys have made the most gains, including even DeChambeau a couple of years ago when he won. That said, there's a guy who I like playing the cheap guys and hoping that one of them hits, so I feel really smart. And I think for me, that's going to be Cameron Smith, I think, is the dude. His numbers don't jump off as great, but he's a good putter. His odds of landing in the actually no, is it Cameron Smith? Yeah, I think Cameron Smith's the one I've been getting too much of. Cam Champ too. I like really any Cameron. If you want to go double Camerons, I don't mind that.
Should we give him the double Cameron?
Well, we also do have a little rule we try to like stay under a certain.
Yeah, we should tell Brian. Tell him the rule.
So, well, I mean, it depends on how much ownership there is each week, but it's usually like whatever 80 or something. So we try to stay under like 55% total ownership, just to give us some sort of little game to play.
Basically, we want an excuse when the lineup bombs that we're not just eating that dumb chalk. We will never build a chalky lineup on that. The goal of these lineups we build is for the chat to have a visceral negative reaction to it, where people are just like, I never in a million years. One guy a few weeks ago Venmo'd me $20 because he said there's no way even 3 of your guys make the cut. And he was a man of his word and tracked me down on Venmo. So that's what we're trying to do, is make a gross lineup. That said, I have 0 Cameron Smith.
Oh, actually, you know what? I did screw up my Camerons. Cameron Davis is the one I want. So you can actually go triple Cameron now.
Oh my God. I was going to say, let me see if I have any Cameron Davis.
You know, Cameron Davis, pretty good ball striker. Has had enough of sample size. Also good driving, 308 driving distance for him. Accuracy, not the best, but the greens I feel like are pretty easy to hit from what I could tell. So yeah, Cameron Davis was the one I was thinking, not Cameron Smith. Fuck that guy. I don't need him.
What ownership do you have Cameron Davis at, Brian?
I told you I didn't do it.
You don't have, okay.
But right. He's going to be low owned. So.
He's going to be low.
Got him at 1.5. A little bit.
There we go. Yeah. There we go.
You give away that content, sir.
I mean, look, I don't think they would mind. Go to osmo.com/join. They'll always take my plugs. It's one thing I'm good at in life. Shilling for Osmo.
It's just like, why would you buy the cow when you can get the Cameron Davis ownership for free, you know?
How much is
his OnlyFans is $3 right now. Get in on Cameron Davis.
Okay, so we're gonna rock the Cam Davis.
Yeah.
He's fine. He kind of goes like he's kind of all over the place. So that's good in DFS PGA.
There we go.
All right, Brian, it's on you. Flying blind. We're just gonna get narrative hot takes.
There we go. Yes, yeah, you got it. You got it. You know. How about a little revenge? A Lolz revenge narrative.
I love it.
Brian Moore.
I don't even remember the revenge. When did 2 weeks ago or last
week? That was our tout of the week, basically.
But wasn't he everybody's tout of the week? He was like 20% owned.
Yeah, he was 20% owned and still worth it, is what I said.
See, I'm looking at my exposures, and normally I have a couple just out of left field names at the top, and I feel like maybe I'm getting more familiar with golf to where I recognize these guys. I'd say my most non-household name would be like Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
23%.
I like Fitzpatrick this week, and I would guess his ownership be like 13.
Okay.
You don't need to be a great putter to win on this course, I think, is the one thing that jumped out, and that's sort of Fitzpatrick's main thing. So I might not be inclined to go that way, but I'm not going to argue it. I am. He's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with him.
So Kyle says, I love Davis and absolutely hate Moore. Stolid start. I would be concerned. I would redo this lineup if you loved it so far. We cannot have people loving it.
Yeah, we've never made a lineup anyone, including us, liked.
No, this is a masochistic exercise, and we will see it through. It is back to you, Spags. Are you going to keep the Cameron train rolling, or are you going to mix it up?
Well, we got a lot of money left now, so I think we got to start.
A lot of money and ownership, too. So you could feel free to take whoever you want.
Let's see. One guy I've been getting, oh man. So Scotty Scheffler came through for me the last time that I played him in a big way. And I feel like I'm a little tempted to go back there, but see who's better on the approach. So Victor Hovland is right there too. And he's got pretty good odds to make the top 10 relative to the price point. And I like his stats. He's not a great closer, which is a stupid data point, but that's one that I know has always kind of dogged him as a younger player, but I like his numbers here. I think he's a guy who can make the jump, so I'll go Hovland.
All right. Let's do it.
Him and Matsuyama are two guys that I probably play too much of generally when they're in this price point, and I think that's I hate that I know that about golf now. Like I don't want to have to get these biases against these guys because I really don't care. I want them all to do well.
See, what I've learned is having no biases actually doesn't help you out, is what I've learned, because I have no biases and I have nothing to show for it.
Did you win in MMA over the weekend?
MMA has been my best sport since League of Legends. I've been doing like consistently. Yeah, I heard you say that, Spags. That's been your kind of go-to as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not this weekend. This weekend I was a little heavy on Cormier, but and missed some of the guys who ended up going off for like 10% ownership. There are too many guys, which I feel like that normally doesn't happen, but it's fun. I mean, it's pretty much you're just doing it like a 6-way parlay, which I think was some sort of consideration for like you can get all winners but still not have the best fantasy performance. But I enjoy it, man. It's just like fun. It's fun to do it on a Saturday night. Like probably more fun if it were like the old days where you could hang out with people and have some beers and watch the fights and all that. But great product, and the DFS product, I think for the most part, like you're either having a great week or you're getting shelled, and I think that's probably how it should always be in DFS.
We do live companion streams. We've done 2 now, Peter, 3.
I think just 2, because we had the one with John and we had the one without John with Randone.
With Randone, which got thousands of views.
Yeah, the KTOV stands came out for that stream. That I promptly deleted from my Periscope. I do have it saved, and one day I will cut up clips when I feel comfortable and have enough distance from that night.
Did Randone have a good showing on the show, though? I feel like his stock market, in terms of being an expert in the stock markets, like to his credit, I don't know if he actually knows anything. I've heard different opinions on that, but man, he's really fanning the flames of whatever he's doing.
He's a published author. That's all I'll say.
Credibility.
It is my turn. Just so many names I know. I've become too much of a PGA thought leader. I am what I hate.
Well, look at the salary we got left.
10. Okay. All right. That's a clue. Brian's giving me a clue. I hope this isn't a clue like your prop bet clue that I misinterpret. Maybe be a little more overt with who you are. Okay. You know what I'm doing?
10%. That's the fucking clue on the prop bet sheet. Yeah.
Before quarantine, back in the day, people used to tell me, Peter, Rory McIlroy is the best golfer on the planet. Mm-hmm. They told me this, and I believed them. And I keep playing him, and I keep playing him, and I'm going to play him this week at 10-8. Rory McIlroy is in our lineup, and he's going to win this thing, the Beantown Battle. He's taking it down.
Okay. Is Tiger 95? What is he at?
He's 8-7 on DK.
Oh, is he that low? Oh, my God.
He's got a really good course history, I saw, which I try not to look too much into because that's kind of burned me in the past, but he's been very good at CPC Boston.
I kind of want a Tiger in there, but that's a lot. How much would leave it on the table at that point?
Did you say this tournament is in Boston?
Yeah, it's I think it's closer to Rhode Island than Boston, but yeah, it's the TPC Boston course.
Dude, if we have a sweat Sunday, Brian, I'll drive out there. I'll yell, "Get in the hole!"
All right.
Spags,
pop Tiger in there really quick.
I like Tiger. I was actually going to suggest Tiger earlier, and I like that pick.
See, 800 left. It's a little.
Hey,
no, that's good though. I feel like for the big tournament, I wouldn't mind that.
No, I know Brian. Brian thinks that's way too much salary to lose.
For golf, really? I'm surprised that you wouldn't be willing. I feel like up for $1,000 in golf, like I'll be okay with it for the most part.
Well, yeah, like because crazy things happen in golf. I agree, but like you don't have to do that. Golf's not as doopy as people think. I is my opinion, but yeah, I saw somebody like Ryan Dowd or Ray Jones or one of those guys years ago, like when they got in trouble for making lineups with their buddy, they said they capped the lineup at like 49.5 to avoid dupes in the Millie Maker. I'm like, I don't think you need to do that. I don't think.
Yeah, I've noticed that people are a little more afraid for good chalk, but I don't like. I also don't know. I haven't played golf long enough. I've only been playing for whatever the event started back up for the quarantine, but and I feel like people like are avoiding chalk too much in golf, where if you have the guy and he's got great odds to make the top 10 or the top 5, like I wouldn't mind going to him because for the most part, those guys are so much better than the guys in the 6,000 to 7,000 range even.
I would be fine with Berger or Cantlay. I mean, obviously all those guys are good. Why don't we put Brooks in, even though he's not playing, for like a Reed New York Knicks comeback story?
Wow. This is like a Siege level take. You try to get him just coming out of the woodworks. He re-enrolls in the tournament.
And with our history with Brooks, right? It'd be like the ultimate narrative.
It's true. It's true. Or we could upgrade if you want to upgrade salary somewhere else. I mean, how about this, Brian? you picked Ryan Moore.
Yeah.
We can either upgrade your guy Ryan Moore or we eat the 800 salary. We put this on.
Let's look at the 7,000s then.
Okay.
I do like that revenge narrative.
That would give us 79. You reserve the right.
Scientifically proven.
It is.
To be positive EV. Sung JM, Cameron Champ, Spieth. Matt Wolf's awesome.
I was getting a lot of Woodland earlier, but he's going to be pretty owned.
I mean, Billy Horschel's a good play at that salary. Over my boy Ryan Moore though, comeback. I don't know. I think I'd rather just leave the 800.
Okay, I like it.
Unless one of you guys has a take, I don't care.
Well, considering, I guess Spags has done the most research of all of us. I did my lineups, but know nothing, and you haven't done your lineup. So I think this is as good as we're gonna get.
Okay.
I like it. I think, and hopefully, how does this work when it wins? Like, do we just all get a cut, or do we have to sue Pete? Like, is that how does it work?
So Brian and I, we have an under the table arrangement that involves human trafficking. You are in on this. You know what?
You and your friends.
Normally, I make the guests send me $8.33, but for you spending your time to come on this show, it's on me. Your share is on me. You have 1/3 right, and like I said, if this thing is in the hunt, I'm driving down. To sweat this in real life.
So Pete, if this makes like $33, are you going to send him 1/3 of $33?
I'm a man of my word. But I will also send him a tax form.
I'm being paid as a contractor by Pete.
Right now, don't have to worry about a 1099. I'll tell you that much. Thank you so much.
We should make whoever ends up winning something with us, they have to recoup all of our losses first.
They make us whole.
So they get nothing.
Yeah.
Even if we win 500K.
Yeah, this is actually an LLC, and you need to make us whole on all of our debt up to this point. And then we'll pay you out. So basically we have to win one of these tournaments before someone can make a profit.
The house always wins. That's how you
all right, Greg, what do you want to plug? Vegas Insider's Twitter account, followed by Cash Out King. Anything else?
Follow at Chris Spags. Watch, maybe. Hey, Pete, I hear maybe we'll have something brewing perhaps in the future, but I think they should watch out for that the most, and should watch all the Pete and Brick shows. I feel like you guys both grinding during quarantine, getting hours of content in. So that's my real plug is, and also I'm going to charge you guys back for that. So now when it'll come off the top of whatever winnings we have from the golf tournament, but. Great show here, and it's been a pleasure seeing you guys. And I enjoy the show. I watched the Jake episode fully. Like I was just here with like a little fanboy.
Well, we get it. That's the one you watched fully. You came for Jake. You came.
He's a fucking dreamy guy. I don't know what you want.
Wow. Sick of bringing on all these young heartthrobs, Brian. When are we gonna get the ogre on the show?
Whenever you want. I'll take an ogre anytime.
All right. Also, check us out on iTunes. We are headed to the top of the video game rankings. Lolz on iTunes and Red Circle. One of us will post a link to that. Check out Spags. Congratulations on a great run at Osimo and a new gig at Fantasy Insiders. For Brian, for myself, for Rory McIlroy, this has been Lolz.